Rhythm games have been one of my favorite genres since the beginning. I love music. I love video games. I love Ceremis from Taco Bell. And the marriage of those three things together is out of this world. I've played a ton of rhythm games over the years, from Guitar Hero to Rock Band to DDR and many others. Most consist of you hitting a specific button when it aligns with a target, like in a typical Guitar Hero or DDR game. These games can be really fun, and I've spent a lot of time playing these types of rhythm games. Another layer of excitement and analysis for me comes from the fact that I'm a musician myself, so seeing how developers use music and music theory along with great game design is incredibly impressive and intriguing to break down. There are lots of rhythm games out there that are a little more freeform when it comes to mechanics, so not just pressing a button at the right time. Over the course of the last few months, I've played many different types of rhythm games, but this list that I've created for you today is not your typical Guitar Hero DDR-based rhythm games. Yes, music and rhythm still play a huge part in these games, but how they go about the mechanics is just a little bit different. With that being said, here are 5 rhythm games that you should play. Guitaroo Man is a rhythm game developed by INIS for the PlayStation 2, released back in 2001 in Japan and in 2002 for the US. The main mechanics of this game have you pointing the joystick in a specific direction and tapping any button when the dots line up. I know I just said these weren't going to be like your typical rhythm-based games, but hear me out. This one is different. As the notes appear on screen, not only do you have to perfectly match the beat, but you also have to be mindful of moving the joystick following where the line goes. The game is freaking hard, and I played on the lowest difficulty. The timing wasn't hard for me to pick up on. It was moving the joystick and keeping the little arrow on the lines at all times. It does loops, bends, dives, and the wiggles. The wiggly ones I failed basically anytime they came on screen. I don't know if I just suck or if the game is just that difficult, having incredibly high expectations for the player. Regardless, once you get into a groove and grasp how to play, it is extremely fun and makes you feel like a real Guitaroo Man when you nail specific sections. The story is pretty goofy, with U1, that's your character's name, getting back the 8 Guitaroos from lots of different bad guys you fight against. You meet a cute girl along the way that looks a lot like the cute girl that U1 is crushing on in the beginning. Her theme is super good and was probably my favorite in the entire game. You hear it several times, and you get to do a rock duet rendition with her towards the end. That was quite the climax. The themes were very enjoyable and uplifting too, with one of the major ones being turning the impossible into I'm possible. I know, it's cheesy, but I really vibe with it. The music bops hard and has a very diverse set of tracks. Granted, there are only 10 levels for you to play through, so if you are good, you can beat it pretty quickly, but like I said, this game is not for the faint of heart. It's probably not worth buying a physical copy because it's like stupidly expensive, so I played it through an e-word, which if you're interested in playing Guitaroo Man, you should probably do the same. Elite Beat Agents is yet another game developed by INIS, which focuses on rhythm games and have quite the catalog at this point. EBA was developed for the Nintendo DS and is one game of 3 made by INIS for the DS. This one did come out after Guitaroo Man in 2006. Elite Beat Agents has you tapping on the screen to match the beat and also pressing and holding these balls. It's 1-for-1 Osu, which is probably more popular than Elite Beat Agents, but this one did come first. More specifically, there was one game before Elite Beat Agents called Osu Tatake Audon, and then one after EBA which was called Moero, Moero, Neketsu, Rhythm, Damashi, Osu, Tatake, Audon. Jeez. Yes, all these games are the ones that inspired Osu, the one that everyone still plays today, and yes, I still suck ass at it. It's pretty hard, and I'd find that my hand and stylus would get in the way sometimes while I was playing. I played on an easier difficulty, and I still failed many tracks, which are amazing by the way. They used all copyright songs for this game that span multiple eras. Where I find the game has the most charm is the comic book-like cutscenes that have you helping people that are in precarious situations. Most of these are super goofy and lighthearted, but then you play the Christmas level and you're hit by Truck-kun. The feels are real, and you may even start crying. It's a really goofy game and is relatively affordable at the filming of this video. I picked it up for about 25 bucks on eBay, but if you aren't really interested in the music and goofy cutscenes, you're probably better off playing Osu. It has lots more tracks and whatnot, but Elite Beat Agents was first. I guess this section of the video was more so a history lesson and introduction to Osu. Oops. The Artful Escape was developed by Beethoven and Dinosaur for Microsoft Windows, Xbox One, and Series S and X in 2021, and then later for PS4 and 5 in 2022. It's also on Steam. The Artful Escape is an experience, and that is literally probably the best way I could describe it. It's more so like a spiritual, ethereal journey you go on than it is a rhythm game. It's very story heavy and quite the ride, but it is most certainly worth it. It starts off with you, the main character, getting ready for your first live performance. The whole town is jazzed because you are the nephew of a famous folk musician, and everyone has crazy expectations for your first show. But it turns out, Francis Vendetti, which is who you are, doesn't really like folk music and has a different song he wants to play. Then you go on this incredibly wild journey through space and different worlds, discovering who you are while playing some banger tracks. This game is probably the least like your traditional rhythm game for the most part. There are specific sections where you are matching button presses to specific characters, but it's more so Simon Says than matching to a beat. Each level is a side-scroller where you hold down a button to shred on your guitar and see the world change and adapt to your playing. The Artful Escape is very basic when it comes to its gameplay, but like I said, the story is where the game gets you, plus its visuals are breathtaking. The art style is freaking awesome, with a combo of 2D and 3D where I'd find myself looking at all the foreground and background elements along with the characters, trying to point out what is 2D and 3D. The voice acting is really good, and it doesn't take long for you to get sucked into the world. Like I said, it is a story-heavy game, but that isn't a bad thing at all. When I first jumped in, I was waiting for a more traditional rhythm gameplay to kick in, but it isn't that type of game. Even in my notes, I was kind of bitching about this, saying that the intro was too long, but that's because there really wasn't that gameplay I was expecting. The themes of this one I connected with instantly. It's a message about paving your own path and choosing who you want to be rather than who people around you expect you to be. Ergo, the title, The Artful Escape. The music is stellar and out of this world, matching up with what this game is to a T. I learned that the creator of The Artful Escape is a guy named Johnny Galvatron who created a band called the Galvatrons, and I've listened to some of their songs, and they slap hard. It's very 80s synth rock, and I'm totally down for that. That's probably why I like the music of the game so much too, because it's very reminiscent of 80s synth. Johnny studied computers and programming growing up and was able to marry both of his favorite things together to make The Artful Escape. For $20, this is an experience well worth having. I really don't want to spoil much of this game at all because it was such a trip for me, so you should go play this one yourself and we can gush about it in the comments section. I never thought I wanted a Zelda-based rhythm game until I got one with Cadence of Hyrule. It's a crossover with Crypt of the Necrodancer, so more specifically the title is Cadence of Hyrule Crypt of the Necrodancer featuring Legend of Zelda. This game is a mouthful, and a joyful. Cadence of Hyrule is incredibly fun and ridiculously hard. Think about a classic 2D Zelda game with its grid system layout, dungeons, puzzle solving, item collecting, and battling. But then add an overlaying game mechanic of doing all of that to a beat. There's a beat meter at the bottom of the screen that you can see pulsating for you to match, as well as just listening to the music and moving to the beat of the song. The songs for this official Zelda crossover are incredible. The songs are so good, and they have metal guitars provided by the gaming guitarist himself, Family Jewels. Cole turned me onto this man a while ago, and of course his stuff is amazing. And the fact that he was able to do the guitars for this was just that much more fun for me. Like previously mentioned, the game is hard. I died so many times and was getting so frustrated, especially early on, because you've got nothing to your name, and anytime you die, you lose most of your items, like your rupees and any special boots or torches or ring buffs and special weapons. So you then have to fight more and collect all those items back. Granted, they do have a durability to them, so they eventually break anyway, even if you don't die. But early game was rough. Once you progress and finally get better at the game, it is a blast. Each new room or part of the map was fun to explore and uncover what secrets were hidden throughout. There are treasure chests that have the same item in them, so upon death you can fast travel to specific areas on the map, and you can then recollect any loot like 200 rupees or floating boots. Like I said, once you get into it and give the game a chance, it becomes super addicting. Traveling to new parts of the world and hearing familiar Zelda tracks that rock is such a blast. Each new enemy you encounter moves to the beat, so analyze their patterns and you'll do just fine. It's got that classic addicting Zelda gameplay where the more you play, the stronger you get, which makes you want to play even more and get even stronger. Some of the boss fights are really hard, and some of the puzzles require a big brain. For only $30, Cadence of Hyrule is a blast, and I recommend this to any Zelda fan or rhythm game fan. Before we get into the last one, I just wanted to add a couple honorable mentions. The first one is Sayonara Wild Hearts. It's kind of an endless runner where you are moving through levels and collecting things to absolute bops of songs. The second one is just Shapes and Beats. It's a 4-player bullet hell rhythm game that you should also check out with lots of banger tracks as well. I've already made full videos on both of these games, so I didn't really want to talk too much about them here, but I will link both videos down below in the description. One day Cole came into my room and said, "Hey, you should look up this trailer for a game that comes out tomorrow. I think you would like it." That trailer was for a game called Metal Hellsinger. I got the game the next day and proceeded to beat half of it in one play session. This is Doom meets rhythm game, and it is super heavy metal. You shoot demons while jamming to heavy metal music. It's really that simple. You also have a beat meter in this one, but instead of being at the bottom of the screen, it's in the middle. You match your shots and dashes to the beat of the song. And oh my, is this ever so satisfying. I'm sure we've all been playing games, and when the song drops, we try to punch or shoot to the beat. You know in Call of Duty trailers where they shoot and do sound effects to the beat, and it's super cool? That's what Metal Hellsinger is. You have infinite ammo, so you don't have to worry about managing that, but you do have to reload. If you reload on beat, it actually reloads your gun faster, and it sounds freaking cool. This was the most obvious with the crossbow weapon, which was my weapon of choice because it sounded the coolest and was the most fun to use in my opinion. Here, just listen to this. The game looks amazing and plays great. There are several different weapons to choose from, but I think the best / most practical was the shotgun and the dual revolvers. They have the most ammo and are probably the easiest to use. All the songs are in 4/4 time signature, which plays into the animations and the shooting. Well, let's break down what a time signature is, more specifically the 4/4 one. So the top number tells us how many, and the bottom number tells us of what. So how many notes, how many of what kind of note are we playing? And in this case, we're playing 4 quarter notes per measure. Quarter note equals 1 count. So essentially, we are just counting to 4 when we play the game. 4 notes per measure. If you listen to the songs, you can hear the beat always pulsating in sections of 4 counts, and you can visually see this on the beat meter. Now, why does all this matter? Take the revolvers, for example. You've got 12 bullets, divide that by 4 beats, that leaves us with 3 measures of continuous shooting, because you are shooting quarter notes essentially. With the revolvers you can shoot on every beat, but the shotgun is different. The shotgun shoots half notes. A shot is 1 beat and the pump is another. It's details like this that are just awesome, and it's like a drummer's wet dream. The only downside to this, and this is just my inner drummer complaining, is that you can't play smaller notes or you can't play more notes per measure. For example, with our quarter notes, you just got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the only time that you can shoot in the game. But if we were to play smaller notes, you could shoot even more, like eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... The only weapon that does allow this is the sword's ultimate ability, which allows you to play smaller notes, but that is it. I mean, it makes sense to me. Sticking to quarter notes is for sure the easiest for most people playing these types of games. There is a difference though between tempo and beat. The tempo is just how fast the beat is pulsating. So when the tempo speeds up, you aren't playing more notes, you're just counting to 4 faster essentially. This is an example of the tempo where I'm just still counting to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the tempo goes up, I'm still counting to 4, it's just faster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm not playing more notes per measure, I'm just counting to 4 faster. To compensate, the animations speed up as well, which is really cool. There are lots of side missions that unlock perks to make the game that much more easier, like this one that once you switch to a different weapon, the first 8 bullets don't use up ammo. Now the crossbow looks even more intriguing, doesn't it? Metal Hellsinger is just a fun time that you can jump into and instantly feel like a badass slaying demons and jamming to metal music that was made for metalheads by metalheads. Featuring lots of different artists like Randy Blythe from Lamb of God, or Surge from System of a Down.
It's the end to this lifeless paradise in disguise. Be the dumb bringer.
It's $30 on Microsoft Windows, on Xbox platforms, including Game Pass at the filming of this video, and it's also on PS4, PS5, and Steam. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, always appreciate it. Hopefully this gave you some ideas on rhythm games you should check out. Let me know down in the comments section below some other rhythm games that I should play, ones that I missed in the video. If you want to see me do another one of these, let me know. I had a lot of fun playing through these. If you want to subscribe, that would be cool. We make videos like this every single Saturday. Also, if you want to support us even more, we've got a Patreon, and that is always appreciated. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and as always, keep it rad.